Welcome to the deep dive. We're doing something a little unusual today.
Yeah, definitely a bit off the beaten path for us.
Usually when we get into the weeds of artificial intelligence or robotics,
Yeah.
we're pulling from, ArcGIF preprints,
Or some incredibly dense technical documentation,
right? Or keynote from a CEO in a black turtleneck.
which, I mean, that is usually how we have to do it just to get the facts straight. The jargon is just part of the territory with this stuff.
Usually. But today we have a source that completely sideswipes that whole ecosystem.
It really does.
We're looking at a script, and it's titled The Story of the Thinking Metal Man. And get this, it is not a technical manual.
Not at all.
It's framed as an oral story told by an elder to a group of children in a village.
It's honestly one of the most refreshing things I've read on the topic in a long, long time. We spend so much time trying to explain neural networks to you guys with, diagrams of nodes and hidden layers.
And vector space.
Exactly. And this text takes the most advanced technology of the 21st century and explains it using the language of folklore, the language of the farm.
Our mission today is to really deconstruct the analogies used in this story, because it's a back-to-basics approach, but it feels incredibly high level at the exact same time.
It's brilliant. We're going to look at how the text separates the body of the machine from the brain and how it addresses this very universal fear of technology.
Right, the fear. Let's look at the catalyst for the whole story. The premise is that the village children have seen a video on what the text calls a small talking box.
Which we can assume is a smartphone.
Presumably, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And on this talking box, they've seen a video of a metal man dancing, a robot. And these kids are absolutely terrified. They're confused and scared.
Which puts us right into the uncanny valley.
Yes.
That visceral, almost biological reaction we get when something non-human acts a little too human.
Exactly. So the elder's goal here isn't just to tell a fun bedtime story to pass the time. It is to replace that fear with understanding.
And the way he does it is so methodical. He tears down the concept of the robot into three distinct parts.
The body, the brain, and the teacher.
And that structure is surprisingly rigorous. I mean, it actually mirrors the way we build AI systems today.
Hardware, software architecture, and training data.
Right. But calling them body, brain, and teacher makes the relationship between them so much more intuitive for anyone.
Let's start where the elder starts, which is the body. He describes the robot as a body made of iron. He says, it has legs but cannot walk. It has hands but cannot lift. It has eyes but cannot see.
He's establishing the robot as an entirely inert object. He compares it to a corpse initially, a body lying on the ground with no breath.
Which is a bit dark.
It is, but then he switches to a much more useful agricultural metaphor. He calls it a hoe.
A hoe.
Yeah, like a farming hoe lying in the dirt.
I stopped on that line for a really long time. The text says it's useful, but waiting for hands to use it.
Waiting for hands.
It's so simple, but it completely changes the power dynamic, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. In the tech world today, we talk endlessly about agency.
Right.
There's this huge ongoing debate about whether AI has its own desires or internal drives. By comparing the robot to a hoe, the elder is taking a very hard stance here.
Zero agency.
Exactly. This thing has zero agency. It is a tool. A hoe doesn't wake up in the morning wanting to till the field.
It just sits there.
It just sits there.
Yeah.
This is actually a massive concept in AI safety called instrumental convergence.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
So a sophisticated AI might do complex things, it might even do destructive things, but only because it's a tool being directed toward a goal. It doesn't have an internal soul that generates its own purpose.
It's just fulfilling a prompt.
Right. The hoe analogy strips away the whole Hollywood sci-fi mystique, that narrative that the machine wants something from us.
That feels like the first real layer of fear being peeled back for those kids.
Right.
If it's just a tool, you don't have to worry about it plotting against you in the middle of the night. A shovel doesn't hold a grudge.
But a shovel also doesn't process information, and that's where the analogy has to shift. Because the kids didn't see a shovel. They saw a metal man dancing.
Right, the dancing.
So the elder has to explain the spirit inside the machine.
Which he clarifies is actually knowledge made by humans. He introduces the concept of the artificial brain.
Yes, and he makes a very crucial distinction. He calls it a brain of numbers.
I love that phrasing so much. A brain, not of flesh, but of numbers.
It's so poetic, but entirely accurate.
He makes a point to say that this brain does not sleep, and that it remembers everything it sees. Which, again, sounds a little creepy if you think about it biologically.
It does. But technically, he's just describing a database. Or more specifically, the parameters in a machine learning model.
The weights and biases.
Exactly.
Right.
When we talk about large language models or robotics control systems today, we aren't talking about biological neurons firing with chemical synapses. We are talking about billions, sometimes trillions of numbers.
Frozen in a state of math.
Right, it's mathematical tension. So when the elder says it remembers everything, he's basically describing the rigidity of a training set.
Because a human brain reconstructs memories. It's fluid, it changes, we forget things.
But a brain of numbers is an archive. It's static until it's explicitly updated.
And the text moves on to how this artificial brain actually learns.
Yeah.
This was the part where I really felt the connection to modern machine learning was just uncanny.
The trial and error phase.
Yes. The elder compares the learning process to a child learning how to walk.
He says when it falls, it learns why it fell. Next time, it falls less.
It sounds so gentle when you say it like that.
It does sound gentle, but it is actually a perfect zero-jargon description of a process we call gradient descent or reinforcement learning.
Break that down for us.
Think about it from the system's perspective. The AI, tries an action. It fails, meaning it falls.
Right.
That failure generates an error signal, essentially a mathematical value saying this was a bad outcome. The system then adjusts its internal numbers to minimize that error the next time it tries.
So the pain of a child falling and skinning their knee for the robot, that pain is just math.
Precisely. It is a minimization function. The robot doesn't feel the bruise, it just registers a negative score.
Like losing points in a video game.
Exactly. Falling is minus 10 points, standing is plus 10 points. It just wants to maximize the points.
That framing really helps explain why AI systems, especially physical robots, sometimes do really weird, janky things before they get good.
Oh, yeah.
The text actually mentions this. It says the robot shakes wrongly and bends badly during this phase.
Right, because in the early stages of training a neural network, it is basically guessing. It's flailing around.
Just trying anything.
Yeah. That shaking wrongly is the system navigating the absolute chaos of high-dimensional space, trying to find the path of least resistance, the path where it doesn't fall.
It's trial and error at a scale that we humans can barely even comprehend.
Millions and millions of attempts. And that's the key. The elder says it learns slowly, which is true in the sense that it needs those millions of examples to figure out the math.
But once it does,
Once those numbers are set, once the brain of numbers has figured out the underlying pattern, that is when you get the viral video. That's when you get the dance.
okay, let's talk about the dance. Because this is the whole setup. This is why the children are scared.
Yeah.
They see the metal man dancing on the screen, and they think it's alive.
They think it feels the rhythm.
Right. They think it's feeling the music. And the elder explains the method of instruction. He says, legs copy legs and hands copy hands. The robot learns by observing elders, by observing humans.
And then the elder drops perhaps the most profound philosophical line in the entire text. It's the crucial distinction of the whole story.
Hit us with it.
He says, the robot dances, well, not because it understands music, but because it remembers movement.
Let's dig into that. Not because it understands music, but because it remembers movement.
This is the classic distinction between syntax and semantics.
Okay.
Syntax is the structure. It's the steps, the coordinates, the actual physics of the limb movement in space.
Choreography.
Right. Semantics is the meaning. It's the rhythm, the emotion, the cultural context of why the song was even written.
So the robot has mastered the syntax.
Flawlessly. It knows that at beat 4.2, the left leg must be at exactly a 45-degree angle, but it doesn't know why.
It has no idea what a dance is.
None. It doesn't know that the song is sad or happy or that it's a celebration. It is just mimicking behavior. It's curve-fitting.
It's just matching numbers to other numbers.
Exactly. It's completely separating behavior from intent.
It really reminds me of those AI image generators we see everywhere now.
Huh.
They can make a stunning picture of a happy dog playing in a park. But the AI doesn't know what happiness is.
It doesn't even know what a dog is.
Right. It doesn't know what a park is. It just knows mathematically that these brown pixels usually go next to those green pixels based on its training data.
That's spot on. It's the Chinese room argument. It's a famous thought experiment by the philosopher John Searle. Basically, imagine you're locked in a room, and you have a massive rule book that tells you how to respond to Chinese characters slipped under the door.
Okay.
If you follow the rules perfectly, you can convince the people outside the room that you speak fluent Chinese.
But you don't.
You don't know a single word. You're just blindly following the rule book. In our story, the robot is following the movement rule book.
So when we see the Boston Dynamics robots or whatever doing backflips and dancing to pop songs, and we think, wow, it has so much personality, that's on us.
That is 100% projection. We are the ones supplying the soul to the performance. The brain of numbers is just executing a very complex, very impressive, but ultimately hollow sequence of instructions.
It's mimicking the physics, not the feeling,
Exactly.
which perfectly sets up the next section of the story. Because the elder is incredibly adamant about what the robot lacks. He's actively de-anthropomorphizing it for the kids.
Yes. There is a section titled "The Truth We Must Not Forget."
And he just lists out what it doesn't have. No heart, no joy, no anger.
That last one, no anger, that is the most crucial part for his audience, the scared village kids. Because if it can't feel the music, it also can't feel hatred.
That's so true. It goes right back to the core of our tech anxiety. We are terrified the AI will get mad at us.
We project human emotions onto it.
We assume it'll seek revenge for being turned into a hoe, basically.
But anger is a biological survival mechanism. It is a chemical response to a perceived threat. A brain of numbers has no chemistry.
It has no adrenaline.
Exactly. It has no survival instinct at all. It just has an optimization function.
So it won't be angry.
No. Now, it might destroy you, but not because it's angry. It would do it because you are an obstacle to its mathematical goal, like a hoe digging up a weed. It isn't personal.
I gotta say, that is somehow more comforting and more terrifying at the exact same time.
It's definitely colder.
Yeah.
But the elder offers a very tangible, very real comfort right after that.
The ultimate safety feature.
He reminds the children, when the power goes off, it sleeps.
The off switch.
It sounds almost too obvious, right? But it is a profound limitation. The robot has no object permanence regarding its own existence.
When you pull the plug, it's just gone.
When the current stops, the brain of numbers ceases to process. It doesn't dream in the dark. It doesn't wait for you to turn it back on. It just isn't.
It reverts to being the hoe in the garden.
It's metal.
Just a pile of iron. And then the elder drops the final piece of the puzzle, the culmination of the whole lesson. He says, when the teaching stops, it stops.
This brings us to the third and final part of his hierarchy.
Let's recap that hierarchy real quick.
Sure. At the bottom, we have the body. That's the robot. Above that, we have the brain. That's the artificial intelligence. And then at the very top of the pyramid, calling the shots.
The humans, the teachers.
Exactly. This is where the oral story shifts gears. It moves from an explanation of how technology works to a lesson on moral responsibility. The text implies that the robot is essentially a mirror.
It only follows what it has been taught.
Because, as he said earlier, legs copy legs, hands copy hands.
Right. In modern AI, we'd call this the training data, or supervised learning. The model is only ever as good as the examples it is fed.
Garbage in, garbage out. If you show it bad dancing, it will dance badly.
But the elder isn't just talking about bad choreography here, is he?
Not at all. And this is where we have to read between the lines of the folklore just a bit. If the robot mimics the teacher, then the flaws of the teacher become the features of the robot.
We see this all the time with bias in AI today.
Constantly.
If you train a language model on the wrong internet, it learns the internet's biases. It learns to be rude or stereotypical or just factually wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the robot doesn't have a moral compass to filter any of that out. Remember the elder's rule. No heart, no joy, no anger.
It has no conscience.
Right. Its conscience is the data set provided by the human.
So if the metal man starts doing something harmful, it isn't because the metal is evil, it's because the teacher failed.
Or, even worse, because the teacher succeeded at teaching it the wrong thing.
Whoa.
The elder says, without humans, the metal man knows nothing. That places the ultimate burden of the robot's behavior squarely on our shoulders. We are the architects of its brain of numbers.
It's so interesting because usually when we talk about AI safety out in the real world, we talk about containing the AI.
Right, like putting it in a box.
Like it's a wild animal we need to keep on a leash. But this story suggests we are looking in the wrong direction. We should be looking at the trainer, not the animal.
It completely reframes the alignment problem. The problem isn't necessarily that the AI will misalign with human values. The problem is that it might align with the worst parts of us entirely too perfectly.
It's a high-fidelity mirror of humanity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we are messy and biased, the AI will be messy and biased, just faster and more efficiently.
That brings up a massive question about the ending of the story.
Oh, the sign-off.
Yeah. The elder finishes his tale by telling the children to go in peace. He seems very confident. He seems to think that because humans are the teachers, everything is going to be fine.
That is definitely the optimistic take on the hierarchy. It assumes the teachers are wise. It assumes the elders actually know what steps to teach the metal man.
But what if the teacher doesn't know how to dance?
Yeah.
Or what if the teacher is just incredibly clumsy?
Then the metal man will amplify that clumsiness. And since the metal man is stronger and faster and does not sleep, that clumsy mistake gets repeated at an industrial scale.
That is the provocative thought I've been chewing on ever since I read this script. The elder promises that the robot only mimics us. But we aren't perfect.
Far from it.
So are we essentially just building a machine that industrializes our own imperfections?
That is the real danger right there. It isn't the Terminator scenario where the robot wakes up one day and decides it hates us. The danger is the sorcerer's apprentice scenario.
The magic broom.
Exactly. The broom, or the hoe in this case, keeps doing exactly what we taught it to do over and over, even when we realize we taught it a terrible mistake.
Because it remembers movement, but does not understand music.
Right.
It doesn't know when the music has stopped, or when the song is changed to something else entirely.
It just keeps dancing the steps it was given, relentlessly.
So really, when you strip it all down, this story of the thinking metal man isn't about robots at all. It's a story about us.
It is a story about stewardship. The hoe is just a tool. The artificial brain is just numbers. The only variable in this entire equation that actually has agency, the only thing that has a real spirit, is the human teacher.
The quality of the future depends entirely on the wisdom of the teacher.
Precisely. We have to make absolutely sure we are teaching it the right steps.
Well, that definitely adds a layer of pressure to anyone working on these systems right now.
Just a bit.
But I also think it demystifies the whole thing. It stops being magic and starts being a craft.
And that is a much healthier place to be. If you view AI as magic, you're helpless against it. If you view it as a craft, you can improve it. You can learn to be a better teacher.
I think that is a perfect place to leave it for today. We started with a scary metal man on a smartphone screen, and we ended up looking into a mirror.
As we so often do on this show.
Huge thanks to everyone for tuning in to this deep dive. Hopefully the next time you see a sensational headline about AI taking over the world, you'll remember the hoe in the garden. It is just waiting for a hand to pick it up.
Just make sure it's a steady hand.
Exactly. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.